Hello everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of The Rundown with me, Dan the Mexican. There's my name on all the socials over there. You can find me anywhere, except for, I'm Aztec Emerald. I'm Aztec Emerald, working with a green screen would be impossible for me. I'm Aztec Emerald on Facebook and YouTube, and then for Twitter and Instagram it is Dan the Mexican. So those two yokes right there. Hello again. It is Tuesday. No, it's not. It's Wednesday, the 18th of April, 2018. We are going to do a quick rundown pick of this weekend's fights. UFC Fight Night 126? I think. Yeah, 126. Barboza versus Lee. Edson Barboza versus Kevin Lee, that is. It's going to be awesome. It's actually a pretty good card. Before we get into that, though, I did have a video where I broke down footage of the main event of last week's Gaethje versus Poirier, or Poirier versus Gaethje. That got pulled from YouTube by the UFC. As much as I tried, again, a different upload, I tried to block as much as I could of UFC official stuff. There was no sound in the videos or anything. I don't know how people can do it. It wasn't a full screen. It was a smaller, shortened screen with parts of the actual thing cut off. You know what I mean? So I had to place the video in the right way, and I only picked certain parts of video so that they stayed in this one kind of general area of the screen, so I wouldn't have to manipulate it too much. No matter what I did, it was pulled. It doesn't stop so many generic sites who definitely don't have permission, because they do all the other tricks when you don't have permission, and keep they have full fights up on the fucking thing on youtube.com under their channel, which has all these subscribers, and they get all this advertisement from it. But as much as I tried to change it around and do it and research it, it just wouldn't work. Everything I did, the UFC pulled it. So that was all gone. What I decided to do for the next one around was I mess around with screen capturing and try to just get shots, proper shots, just to kind of have a slideshow of different techniques and stuff that I want to put out. Now, when I did it I did it as a test to see if it would work for this. For the last one, I only got Michelle Waterson, but because it was the first on the card. But the more that I've listened to the post-fight commentary from different people and different podcasts and videos, the more I'm actually completely okay with only having Waterson and Casey, because I think that was the least most accurate representation. What people said about that fight and about the contestants was the least accurate representation of what actually happened. And I'm a stickler for as accurate information as possible. And it's not that I'm saying that have this eye that these other professionals don't have. I only just happen to have watched a lot of this footage a lot of times, and then went by almost frame by frame and looked at it and took it to piece and realized that the outcome should not, like the judge's decision as well, and it was not, as I said, an accurate description of what actually went down. So I have slideshows of that to show you. And then I want to have a brief word about Israel Adesanya, because that was another thing I wanted to show in the videos, but I couldn't get to. As I said, it was pulled. But I'm just going to, I don't have the shots for that or slides or anything for that either, because as I said, I'd only did it as an idea to see would it be practical to do these shots, because I have to take the photos and then edit them and change them as well. So I realized that the task of actually doing that means that I have to be very, very, very stringent and famine-like with the amount of photos that I pick, because for Michelle Waterson, Kevin, and Casey, I can't remember. There's like 23 or 24 photos, and that was whittled down from 60, which was originally whittled down from over 200. That 23 was even still too much. So I got to get better in my brain of knowing the reason why I have so many photos is my ability to explain what I'm seeing. I can't do it and explain it well enough from just one photo. I kind of need the photos following up to the moment and then a bit after to properly elaborate on disseminate my knowledge, because my knowledge isn't that high and my ability to disseminate that knowledge is very, very remedial. So I need a lot more footage or photos worth. But I'm going to try just improve and get better. However, for the moment, I have Waterson and Casey, so I'm going to go over that. And then I'm going to go, as I said, just a quick bit about the last style bender, Adesanya versus Vettori fight. And then we're going to go into our picks for this weekend. So, without further ado, let me just switch these things over. Should be good to go. Okay. Now, hopefully, these slides work. So, as you can see from the start, very early on in the first round, Casey has a general awareness of Michelle Waterson's outside game. So Michelle Waterson, for the most part, whenever they were standing, for the most part, kept her distance, kept the strike, kept the kicks to keep Casey at distance. Casey blocked them, but not all of them were blocked with nothing. Some were blocked was in, oh, it's good I got that block up there. Otherwise, it would have been a bit more fatal. And then we see what happens when she doesn't get those blocks in there later on. There was very, very good lateral movement, a lot of circling and a lot of angles and a lot of changing and shifting from lefts and rights, but mainly keeping herself away from the power of Casey was Michelle Waterson, which is very good. And that dexterity, that level of like, I'm going to kick you in the head, and we're only 30 seconds into the fight. And here is, after that kick, there's a bit of a brawl. A few minutes in, as you can see, it's 2:28. They have them against the fence. Originally, it was Casey who put Michelle Waterson against the fence, but Michelle Waterson reversed it and lands an elbow on the exchange, on the exit, and breaks off. I like that. I like that a lot, and I'll tell you why. I heard it ages ago, and it's called, from commentators, it's called making them pay. Even if a fighter gets you in a position that compromises you, if you can get out of it, that's one thing. But if you can get out of it and crack them, put an exclamation point onto being like, now every time you do that, I'm going to do this to you. Not only am I going to get out of it, but I'm going to make you pay for it. That is cool. That shows a different level of overall fight game mentality and octagon experience to know exactly what kind of things to say. It's like in a conversation, a debate. When you get better at it and you've had more experience, you know how to finish your sentences a bit better, to bring your points home a bit cleaner and a bit more definitively. Once again, after a pretty decent, solid hit from Casey that stumbles... that was after the first hit. That was a decent hit from Casey, and that's when she went for it and got against the fence. This was going for a shot. I still have watched it many times. I can't tell if it was fully a trip. While there was a trip, Casey pushed with a bit of her weight, and it wasn't Casey's punch that actually pushed her to the floor. I'm not sure if Waterson tripped on her own leg, if she planned to kind of go to guard, or was like about to back up, realize where she was, and went fuck it and just let herself drop for a second. I don't know. But the point is, she was on the ground, and Casey storms in, and Michelle very smartly finds her way around, gets in, pummels under, gets the underhook, barrels herself around. Literally just as Casey runs in under her, she sees it coming, gets her angle, gets herself underhooked, gets that arm around, allowing the rest of her body. Once you can get that arm over the top of the chest here of Casey, once she gets that in there, that's her entire opening for her to move through. And although the arm itself might be able to lift up a lot from that angle, it can perch stuff open. And your shoulders and your body and drive coming from down to up at an angle while you turn creates a corkscrew effect that is very easy for you to transition out of a takedown when they don't fully have, if they haven't got your waist. And you can see here that as good and powerful as Casey is, these little extra dotting of the I's and crossing of the T's are where someone with the experience of Michelle Waterson can find her ways out. And as she pops up around, she then does what Casey didn't do, which is completely lock around her waist, fall into her, trip her up onto the ground, moves, and look where they are there, okay? So, okay, can you see? Does my mouse come up? I don't know if my mouse comes up. But where they are, you see Michelle Waterson. They're like about 1 foot and a bit away from the number 6, okay, on the one of the walls of the octagon, one of the bars near the actual cage itself. You know it's the cage because it's the most narrowest point between two foam padding things. Okay, then when she falls onto Casey and then gets control over her, gets her weight over her, the distance she covers, she's now on the other side of the Metro PCS sign. That's 6. Her front foot and all of Casey's body was before the Metro PCS sign. When they fall, when she gets control, gets her base and postures up, by that time, they're over the other side of the Metro PCS sign. That basically means that she's not afraid to use, she's able to, and she knows about proper positioning and control means you kind of have to be able to use the whole octagon and the space around you as an advantage. Something that I've seen a lot of really good wrestlers do is they don't just bring someone down, they bring someone down and then they move them where they think they're going to have the best effect up until the point where they're like, oh, I got to be a bit more confident in pinning you down because I've moved you a bit too much and you've got your bearings to kind of move around. From that top position, she lands as you can see, the arm raise, she lands a decent, like a really good solid boom, straight down, like just a thump onto her face, onto Casey's face, and they get back up. There's a bit of a scramble. There's a point where during this, Casey turns around, Michelle goes into her, so both their asses are at the cage. Michelle sits down on her and starts hammer fisting, and then it's in that transition when Casey's moving around that she gets her into an armbar. But she can't do anything with it. She doesn't end up getting it. She even tries to flip her over by like grabbing the leg like Ronda would and flipping her over to her base, but it doesn't work, and Michelle Waterson is able to absolutely get out of it. I don't care if you almost submit someone 20 times. If they can consistently never be really threatened, and it's not a case of, oh, they just about got out. No, they're kind of just, oh, you got me submission? Okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, and I'm out. That's not the same as like, oh, you survived, or they happened to get out of it. No, every time she was in a position, it was, okay, just breathe, stay calm. What's step 1? Okay. What's step 2? Is she in this position? She is. Okay, so I have to do this to make her do this, which she is. Bam, ba-bam, ba-bam, done. I don't think that's the same. I think that's like being pinned down under gunfire and then being like, oh, that person's winning. Who's shooting? No, they're not. They're shooting a lot, and yet the other person has to kind of be patient and think of their movements next. But the second that person pauses to reload, if that's all their game is, just hailing down bullets, once they pause and reload, the other person knows that they have about a million different other options that they can choose, and then they get up and then they launch 2 fucking decent shots. I mean, that is points for that other person. It doesn't count. It doesn't count if you don't get the submission and the person got out of it by literally doing steps 1, 2, and 3 of the standard way to get out of said submission. And then back into her feet on her own accord at the end of the round. Back on the floor. Oh, wait, no. Oh, sorry. Okay, that's where that position there is what helped her get back up. Putting that elbow down and giving that position was able to get her to create space. From getting that space, she hammered the shot down. Then when she hammered the shot down, that's when Casey started to go for the armbar and stuff, but didn't get it. I knew some of the stuff would be out of order. Okay, it's that standing that's completely out of... that standing one is supposed to be before this photo. It goes from that standing one to this. Okay, that makes sense. So I did keep those other photos in. Okay, brilliant. That's even better then. Okay, so forget this. We have here, she lands that punch. She then sits on her, turns around. As you can see, right, she's in her guard here. Postured up from her guard. Now she's in side control. Well, not really side control. She's not in side control. She's still in her guard, but her whole hips and base has shifted to the side of Casey as opposed to being completely parallel with the cage. Well, actually, parallel with the cage, you know what I mean. Okay, you get what I mean. And that wrist, that elbow on the face gives her the ability to have a bit more control over her. And then it's in that minute, that's when those scrambles are, and it doesn't matter about those scrambles that I talked about because Casey still can't get them, ends up losing position. Waterson gets the position back, postures herself up, bang, another shot to the face. And there was also another one that happened in that exchange as well, but the second one didn't connect as beautifully, so the shot that I had wasn't as nice. But that she landed 2 clean thumps from above. And there you see there, as she flips and turns around, she doesn't land the elbow. She actually just uses that to get up from this position. She then spins, takes herself around, and gets back up. Then what we have here is what I really like. At the end of the second round, which essentially went a lot like the first round, Waterson was put in compromising positions, but not really got out of them, dominated when she got out, put a exclamation point at the end of them, and got back to her feet, kept her range and kept her distance. And then by the end of this, when they got back up to their feet, Casey comes in, doesn't time it right. Waterson goes for... I missed a frame. Okay, that right leg comes up, but it's actually the left leg. She goes and switch kicks and knocks her, and that sends her pretty far back. In fact, Casey goes the whole way over to the Harley-Davidson sign. She stumbles back one more gate worth of distance, falls and rolls over and is end up on her knees facing the cage on top of the Harley-Davidson sign. She goes quite far. And then there we see at the beginning, once again, starting off the round, keeping her distance in check, kick to the face. A connected kick, mind you, by Waterson. And then another kick when Casey goes to respond to that. She then, like, that's the same leg. Like, so it's bang, bang. So she gets cracked, and then as she goes to go in again, she gets cracked again on the side. And then, bang, right kick. So it's left kick high, left kick low, right kick to the body. I mean, that's gorgeous. And look at the sequence of time. 50 seconds, 46, 45. I mean, that's beautiful. It's a teep, not a kick. It's a teep, and it's kind of half blocked, but it still keeps her at distance. It kind of pushed her boob a bit. And then another fucking shin to the body by Casey. Or by Waterson. Then she gets tagged a bit of a stumble. Casey goes on her, brings her against the fence. Waterson reverses it. And then we see here, takes her down, trips her down. In that, she gets into a kerfuffle. That's when Casey goes for the knee bar. And before that, there was another armbar attempt. But Michelle Waters knows exactly what to do. She sits her ass down. So her ass is down there, right? But she frees her ass up. Sorry, her ass is down. She frees her ass up. You're going to start seeing her left leg move a bit more. Jesus! Fucking Christ. How did that open Google? Hey, Asshole camera. What the fuck? Why did you do that? Oh, asshole camera. Am I out of sync? I fucking hope not. Let's take this off so I don't have to ask the thing to do too much. Okay. Grand. Yeah, she basically, as if you were starting to, you were sitting down on your arse and you were trying to pull yourself up on a rope forward, like sitting down and you want to be then facing flat forward on your front. That's kind of how she does it. She uses Casey as perches and places for her to pull and bring her own hip crotch closer to her own ankle, and bending in her knee and letting her left leg sweep around and come closer, pulling her on top of Casey. That left leg comes over Casey's right leg, and that ends up locking in the mount position, or at least half guard position. But she doesn't stay there. She then uses that to sweep fully. She actually continues that passage. As Casey tries to turn around to stop her, she allows Casey to keep moving so she can throw her whole arm, her whole foot over Casey entirely, bringing her now around at the other angle and an easier way for her to get out because she's no longer against the cage. And she breaks away. And then as she waits for Casey to stand back up, boom, clips her again with the right, sending Casey against the fence. And then that's it, back to the big end of the slideshow. What I saw there was two things. One, I saw a Michelle Waterson that has improved her game a lot. A Michelle Waterson that has realized there is a lot more that comes from just being patient and breathing with the moment and letting yourself be comfortable in what you're doing as well. Comfortable in your strengths as well as being patient. Sometimes I think if you're overconfident, that can sometimes, not necessarily overconfidence, but the over ego thing that you might have, like, oh, I'll destroy them. It's brought on as a fear response to give you the boost needed to go in there, as opposed to contentness. When you are content, fearful of the possibilities if you're not sharp-minded and if you're not in the moment, and then being in the moment, playing to your strengths, accepting the other person's strengths, knowing where you still need to improve, knowing where, you know, if you just go A, B, C and trust that you know that that's the right way to do it, you know, you'll be surprised that when you're against people who haven't had that level of tenure, they'll miss A, B and just try jump to C. It showed a lot. It showed a definite level up in her game. It showed a separation of class between Casey and Waterson. Anything that people say Casey had about her was, okay, she initiated when they went up against the fence. She attempted submissions. Waterson stayed on the outside. So it looks like Casey was pressuring. Casey has a bigger mass to her. When Casey moves forward, her style is a bit more, you know, walking someone down kind of style. So to someone who's not paying attention, or a MMA judge, which we know don't know anything about MMA, or to people even watching the fights with mates and stuff like that and messing around and joke and chatting and stuff while you're watching it, especially when a fight can go so long. And even still, sometimes if you're educated, super educated, in the moment of a fight, I've heard a lot of people like, I have to watch that fight again. And when they do, they're like, whoa, yeah, I saw a totally different fight the second time. I think this will be one of those fights. I think there is a definite gap in overall performance from Michelle Waterson to Casey. I think the fact that it was a split decision is a fucking joke. I think Michelle Waterson cleanly won every round. At the end of the third round, yes, she got caught in an armbar. Would she not have been submitted? It doesn't matter because she wasn't. It timed out. That's it. That's the story. Casey almost submitted Michelle Waterson multiple times. That's not a win. That's not even a winning a round. Especially when the person has literally controlled majority of the aspects of the fight. Even the parts of the fight that the opponent initiated, they get countered and then controlled over by Michelle Waterson. So it was an astounding, clean-cut win in my opinion, and I think it's the kind of win that is going to do very well for her, that people mightn't notice this win, but they will definitely notice the second win, because she has made improvements. And I love when you see a fighter who loses and you're like, I want them to improve, because they still can. And then they look and they go back to the drawing board and they're like, nope, I'm humble. I have to admit, I'm not good here. I have to get better. And their game is already pretty decent. So when you put that much energy into just improving a hole that you have, you improve that hole a lot better than, you know, if you're just learning things bit by bit. You already know a shitload and you're just improving one hole. So, you know, it pays dividend. It really does. And she mightn't be the youngest person in the women's division or whatever, but I think that aside, what's the word? Numerical age and physical body, inner being age are two different things. And for the most part, Michelle Waterson is young at heart, young in body, young in mind, and I think we're going to see a good bit more of her. The second thing that I get from this win is it really makes the strawweight division start to open up with levels. Now, instead of it being the people who are clearly very good at this sport and the people who are clearly better than people who just wanted to fight, you know, like there's a lot of people at the beginning of the UFC who are like, oh, they're great, they beat all these people. They beat a lot of people who are just like, you know, I'll fight you. And that's not really the same. Whereas now you have gaps of the elite, the pretty good and dangerous, the quite decent and getting better, the, you know, commendable, and then the not good. Like, either need way more fights, let's relax because they need way more fights, or probably should have quit the game a long time ago when, you know, they weren't actually facing real fighters. They might have been the realest fighter out of anyone they've ever faced, but that's not the question anymore. You now have your Roses, your Joannas, I would say to a certain extent your Andrades at the top. Then you have your, well, no, I'm actually going to change that. I'm going to say Waterson, I'm going to say Rose, JJ, Kowalkiewicz. So you have those on top. Then you have Andrade. I know Kowalkiewicz hasn't had beaten Andrade or beaten Gadelha, but she beat fucking Rose. So, Gadelha, and she beat not a Rose from Tough, a much better improved Rose. Gadelha, Andrade, they would be your pretty decent. I wouldn't mess with them. They are seriously high level, and the only people who can beat them are really the top two, you know, people. Then as you get down, you have your Michelle Watersons, and then as you get down, you have your Paige Van Zandts, and then you get down, you have, you know, I think with Michelle Waterson right now, you have your Herrigs and stuff like that. I think Tisha Torres might be pushing her way towards the Andrades and the Gadelhas, but that's my point. You have all these different tiers now in that one division, and they're moving and adjusting, and at any point, each person could kind of respectively give the other person a very good matchup. That's amazing to see. I love seeing that. It is the total opposite of the women's featherweight division, but hopefully with Megan Anderson coming in, things will level out a bit more. So, with that done, I hope you enjoyed this. Tell me if you like that, what I did there with the slides, and I'll try to do more of them. If you like them, I'll definitely do them. If you don't, I won't, because they're kind of taxing to do. However, if they're liked, I relish doing them and I appreciate doing them. I did them and I went ahead with this, not because I love doing the work. It was taxing and annoying as shit, but I really wanted to say what I had to say. And I think because I'm not that well known and I don't really have any background in this sport particularly, having the footage in front of me, or at least pictures, to kind of relay what I'm trying to say and get across, I think pays dividends in the end. So, yeah, let me know if it's something that you like. Now, we're going to go on to the next thing, which is my picks for this weekend. So if you bear with me one more second, friends. Good friends. Boom! Okay. Now, let me take this. Let me run this back. Okay. Okay, so I've been watching footage today, and I am out of sync, and I can see that. When I started recording, it wasn't out of sync. Hold on. Now, I know it's not as bright, but does that make a difference? Not really. Before I pressed start, it was in sync. I did a mini video to make sure I was in sync. It said I was in sync. I'm sorry. I'll keep doing I'm not gonna not put this up. I'm fucking sick of making videos and not having them up there. Because they're either have no sound for no fucking reason whatsoever, or they're completely out of sync by like a minute, even though the sync wasn't out of sync when I was actually recording it. And then, you know, they get pulled from YouTube. Now I recorded, it's in sync, and then all of a sudden it just fucking goes out of sync. I don't care. I'm putting it up. I'll continue to improve. But as far as I'm concerned, like, I don't know how to improve it any more than I've already done this today and it was in sync and now it's not. I did a shitload of changes to a lot of stuff. I admitted that my graphics card really isn't as good as I wanted it to be, and I'm going to have to choose 30 frames per second. I did a lot of changes to the bitrate and everything, and to no avail, it seems. Well, no, to avail. It all worked, and it was in sync, and now it isn't. So, fuck that. 1 second. No, where's the camera? Not. What? More. Sorry, that was necessary. I'm fucking pissed off. Anyway, I watched a lot of footage today, which means I watched a lot of footage for an out of sync video. But nevertheless, I chose Tony Martin over Keita Nakamura. I think he has better movement, better overall tenacity, but ability to stop and hold his place. I think he has less damage overall in his career, especially considering the amount of fights. And I have him by... Don't play that. Yes, I have him by decision because I just think that those Japanese lads, man, they're always really, really hard to put away. Ricky Simon versus Mareb Jalishvili. Mareb Jalishvili. I have Ricky Simon because Mareb hasn't won in his last 3 and only fights in the UFC. So, yeah. Even though it's Ricky Simon's debut, I'm thinking Ricky Simon by KO round 2. Because I like to live dangerously. Aspen Ladd versus Leslie Smith. Leslie Smith has been doing it for a while. Her record's not that good at all. She has literally no names on her record. Not that Aspen Ladd has a crap load of awesome names either, but she's young. She's trained from a more recent time, which means she's getting MMA at a higher level. She's been training MMA since there actually has been women's divisions in the UFC. overall, I think she has at least one fight in the UFC, doesn't she? Mm-mm. She's a lot younger as well, which goes to her favor, especially in the fight game. And there was a reason why. Yeah, she beat Lena Landsberg, who's like similar level of a Leslie Smith kind of fighter, maybe slightly better. It depends. Just want to check again. Who was Leslie Smith's? Where I was like, these are the only people you won against. I don't know who they are. Yeah, Rin Nakai. It's not a good thing. And it was a unanimous decision. You should beat the shit out of Rin Nakai if you're in the UFC. Like, let's be honest. Irene Aldana. Unanimous decision. Fight of the night. All right. 169 strikes to 108. That's a lot of strikes to take. 108 strikes. You know what I mean? An amateur. Not amateur, but let's be honest. Amanda Lemos. I don't know who that is. And she won against Jessamine Duke. She lost to Sarah Kaufman. She lost to Jessica I, who's not that good. No offense, I. Okay, she lost to Chris Cyborg, KO round 1. Everybody does. But everybody does. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good for Aspen lad. I just do, because I do. That's just it. I have her by decision, because most women fights, unless they're against someone like Cyborg or Limb Snatcher, they're not going to end quite early. They usually go to decision. Feck, I messed up on the banner and it covered up some of the percentages. Like it fucking matters, let's be honest. Patrick Cummins versus Corey Anderson. Okay, we have two wrestlers. We have a dude who has way more fights with kind of fighters who he should have beaten but didn't. We have another dude who beat people that we didn't think he was going to beat. Both of them have an identical record, but I'd say Patrick Cummins' wrestling is levels above Corey Anderson's. I think Patrick Cummins still has the ability to just be in there and dogging it out. I think Corey Anderson can give up. And I think that overall, knowing Corey Anderson as much as I do, from seeing him throughout, like a lot of about tough and all these kind of things in his other fights, he has never got to a place or done something where I was like, oh shit, I'm happy to see that. Let's go, Corey. You know, so every time it's been like, I don't know. And someone like Pat, yeah, I've Pat all day for this. Also, notice Corey Anderson, he doesn't open the back of his teeth. He keeps it closed, man. You know what I'm saying? Like the front of his teeth can sometimes be open, but when he talking, man, for the most part, he keeps and he bites in the back of his teeth. Look at him to do that, you know what I mean? 50 Cent, he does that too. He talked a lot as well. You mistaken me for somebody that you should be testing. You should be stressing. Again, the fucking teach you a lesson. We're running once in session. And they subtract that on blessing. Smith the weapons of Wesson in case you be guessing and stressing. Like that's he avoids doing. So yeah, that's something I noticed from this first thing in Ultimate Fighter. I was like, motherfucker sounds like 50 Cent. All right. And I was in his game, in his corner, and I wanted him to do well, and he hasn't. So, and Patrick Cummins was like, who's this doof? And then as I saw him more and watched him more, I was like, oh, I think I started to like this guy. Please don't suck. And he started to do really well. I'm like, you know, he only really lost bad to DC, and that's DC. You know, and like, he's got lost to Johnson. It was something ridiculous. Like, why did they give him that fight? That's not fair. It was one of those kind of things. Glover. That's what it was. It was the Glover. Like, come on, man. He lost against Ovens. Okay, that's fine. He lost against Glover. Okay, fine. He lost against Antonio Rogerio Noguera. Big Nog. Or Little Nog. Big Nog. Okay, that's fine. What was it, your fifth fight in the UFC? That's okay, man. Like, he's beat Rafael Cavalante. He's beat Antonio Carlos Jr. He beat Kyle Kingsbury. He beat Roger Navarez. And Terrell Brown. Okay, I don't know who that is.
He beat John Blachowicz, man. He beat Game Vellante. That's like, dude, come on. Come on. Come on, guys. Come on, lads. Let's be serious here now, lads, for a second. Yeah. Patrick Cummings all the way. 100%. Seiler versus Badaherzada. Sorry, Seiler Badaherzada versus Luan Chagas. Going back and forth with them a bit, it looks like, for the most part, Luan's quicker. He has the ability to smell blood, but he's also got to be able to stop, back up. Badaherzada is a bit more stoic. If he's against a guy who is trying to do too much reads and he's not quite well-rounded and he wants to floop around the octagon and try silly shit, Badaherzada is a bad matchup. But if you got a guy who's got tenacity, he's got power, he's got pace, he's got the ability to move in, move out, and find and smell the blood, and then, you know, still have patience as to not get too taken over, or, you know, the script rewritten in the middle of the fight when a person smells blood, goes in for it, puts too much feet on the pressure on the gas, and then gets clipped in response. I think for the most part it's just going to be a more fresher, dynamically capable fighter against a dude who, if you sleep on him and you think because of his stoicy, weird, kind of slightly, you know, not jacked and ripped nature, and he kind of plods around the octagon a bit, and you take that as a, oh, he's going to be a nobody, I'll destroy him. He'll fuck you up. He will fuck you up. But if you stay on your game and you're poised and you got speed and tenacity, once again, the patience and knowledge to go, oh, and then, you know, take your time. Badaherzada is a wrestler. Chagas is an anti-wrestler and a jiu-jitsu, high-level jiu-jitsu guy. Badaherzada, jiu-jitsu, it wouldn't be his strongest suit, especially when you're going against a guy who, you know, kind of was doing jiu-jitsu when he was in diapers. So, for the most part, I think everything on paper and a bit of just generality of, speculation, would suggest Luan Chagas to win. By the way, folks, this is all just, like, guess. I could be completely wrong. These are fights. It's really 50-50 at the end of the day. Magomed Bibliotop versus Ulka Sasaka. Although I like the fact that Ulka Sasaka kind of Nate Diaz it, and even though his English isn't that good, he's still, like, dogging people and, like, beefing and just shitting on them while they're fighting and just giving them stank, tossing them, teasing them, singing off key. Me, my mo. Me, mo, my may. I don't bet against Russians. I don't pick against Russians in mixed martial arts. Unless it's against someone that I know really well. I'm like, oh, no, they got their number. I don't pick against Russians because I just don't think it's wise as a fight metric to pick against Russians. If it's 50-50, might as well pick the Russian. LaFleur versus Alex Garcia. So I was going to go for LaFleur until I found out that the Dominican Republic guy wasn't just a jiu-jitsu. It wasn't a, oh, he's just jiu-jitsu and striking. He's actually a well-grounded wrestler. He has good striking developed because he's a good wrestler. He's also got really good conditioning, and despite his size, can actually go 5 rounds. I think LaFleur, even though he's more well-rounded, he's got more abilities of weapons and tools in his favor. I think there's a certain consistency about Alex Garcia's capability. I also then copped that LaFleur trains and has stints with, I think, Jackson Wink and somewhere else. Garcia is out of AKA, I'm pretty sure. So, no, sorry, no. That's wrong. LaFleur trains with Bermudez, and Garcia trains at TriStar. So you have TriStar style wrestling, where it's like, oh, well, who's from TriStar who's good at wrestling? 2 people who didn't do wrestling, George St. Pierre and Aubin St. Mercer. No, Aubin Mercer. He has something else in his name again as well, but I don't know what it is. The fuck is this? Okay, I have to go to 10. I've got the movie. I'm going to see Isle of Dogs and pick up some shoes because Sports Direct are doing a sale on DC shoes. So yeah, TriStar, like that's not just standard wrestling. That's very good wrestling with the ability to cause a lot of ground and pound, maintain top control while still adding strikes and stuff like that to your game. I just have him by overall just badassery. I have him winning. I think because badassery isn't something you can pick in the fight picks, I have him by decision, and I Bibliotov by decision as well. Like to play it safe sometimes. So Jim Miller versus Dan Hooker. Google Jim Miller. Google people saying cool things about Jim Miller. They're all true. They're all 100% true. He's a badass. He's a beast. He's one of the original grinders. He's one of the original tough motherfuckers you just can't put down. But that was a long time ago. He has had a lot of fights. I genuinely was surprised to see him. I thought he went to Bellator. Dan Hooker is going to knock him out in the first round. His chin's gone. I don't like it. I don't like seeing... he can still make money whipping ass of so many people, but there's too many fiery young bloods in UFC that I don't like it. Dan Hooker's pretty decent, and he's been getting better. Those New Zealand lads, they're all scrappers as well. I have Dan Hooker for KO in the first round, or TKO, either way. God bless to, salute Jim Miller, but it is what it is. The fight game, we have to say what we think. Aljamain Sterling versus Brett Johns. Okay, so I have decided to do my best to learn my feelings more and to stop picking fighters because I want and I feel for them, and I think that it's okay if this other person loses because this other person needs the win. That's not how you should pick a fight. Fact of the matter is, Aljamain Sterling is very inconsistent. He is good. He has the ability to improve, but he's a slow learning wide curve fighter. He will take a long time developing to become a very polished elite. But in those times, he's going to meet people who are moving up in the category a lot quicker than him. They mightn't stay at the top as quick as him, or mightn't even get as to the same echelon of the top as he'll get. But he will be kind of shot by these people as they're moving through and kind of push past the side like a small boat in the wake of a jet ski, of like a speedboat. You can slightly move out of the way, but just that speedboat going by is going to create wakes. It's going to move you a bit anyway. After seeing Brett Johns take out Joe Soto, who's not amazing but not shit, 3 seconds with a calf slicer, which is rare as 30 seconds, calf slicer, unbelievably rare. The way he's been winning, he is one of the few people whose background, being a European, isn't striking. It's actually wrestling. I don't know, obviously, his strength of schedule in regards to his European wrestling, but his jiu-jitsu is crafty as hell. I just don't know if Aljamain Sterling is reached that point to be one of those fighters who can the wick of a fighter on a burn up the ranks. I would like to think he can be, but we haven't seen him been able to be that yet. I love Longo. I love Sarah. I love that shit. I love Sarah Longo, but the camp, everything. But if Brett Johns wins, I wouldn't be surprised. So because of that, I have Brett Johns, and I have him by submission in round 3. I could be very violently wrong about that. David Branch. Strength of schedule was not as good as Thiago Santos. Been around for a lot longer. Hasn't done as much. In the time that Santos has done, he's done pretty well. He has not amazingly well, but not shite. He has a Mjolnir tattoo on his chest, which is brilliant. Overall, I think he's going to take out David Branch. I don't think David Branch is as good as people might think he is. But for the most part, I could be very wrong about that. That also could be a violently wrong bet, a violently wrong pick. I have 2 of them so far. But it doesn't matter. I have... Where is he? Yeah. I have Santos by KO TKO in the second round. Justin Willis versus Chase Sherman. This is the one, where I was going to pick Chase Sherman. And then after seeing the strength of schedule and looking over the fights, I'm like, they're kind of even. They haven't beaten any insane names, but they haven't lost to any who either. You know what I mean? And they've beaten some people who are like, okay. Willis maybe a bit more, but for the most part, as much as I would have been like in Chase's corner, after watching a bit of footage on him, I think Willis is a bit more polished, a bit more comfortable in who he is in there when he's in that cage. And the caveat that he very frequently trains in AKA with Cormier. And Cain Velasquez in particular. So there you are. As soon as I heard that, I was like, well, I was iffy and 50-50 and I couldn't take anything to sway me over. But now I heard that. Justin Willis. Big pretty. I have him by decision, I think. I don't think Willis by decision. Possibly knockout in the first round. I might change that a bit later on my pick'ems, but I'm going to play it safe, go for decision. Now, this is one that I could be violently wrong about. It was nigh a month ago when Frankie Edgar got a vicious elbow and then a vicious uppercut which sent him into the air from Brian T-City Ortega. And he's fighting Cub Swanson, who hasn't had a fight in a bit, so he's fresh. And his last loss was to Brian Ortega, who up until that point, Cub was looking really, really good. Better than he's ever looked. I don't want to bet against Frankie. I want to say that no matter how good Cub Swanson gets, there's no way he can handle Frankie Edgar. And the only reason I'd pick against Frankie Edgar is out of worry that he's getting chinny. I don't think taking a tight elbow and then an uppercut from Brian Ortega, we're going to notice that it's not an underestimation it's underestimating people who aren't shouting about him, and it's not a hype train. It's a legit system of entertainment. It's an entertainment shuttle for Brian Ortega. It's not a joke. We will see that he is legit, and we'll look at people in the future going, you lost to Brian Ortega, that's fine. In the same way we look at a guy who's had like 3 or 4 fights and like, who'd you lose to? Tony Ferguson. Wow, okay, no, that's fine, you can lose to Tony Ferguson. I think we're going to look at it like that in the future. I'm not going to pick against Frankie Edgar simply on the basis that he might be chinny now. It's not happening. I won't do it. And if you take that aside, there's no way I would have picked Cub Swanson. As good as he's looked, Frankie just literally has the number for the fighters like Ferguson. He has that game plan. He knows how to shut them down. So I have him by decision. Yeah, Frankie by decision. And then, for the final one, Kevin Lee versus Edson Barboza. Edson Barboza is less than a month off his fight from Khabib. A couple of months. Edson Barboza took a serious amount of damage in that fight. Serious amount of damage. Kevin Lee is super fresh. Kevin Lee is an untested quantity, but I think he is going to come out better than what we think his results are at the moment, because he's talking like he's at a place where we haven't seen him show us that he deserves to be there. Some of his wins have been and his losses have been you know what I mean? But his losses, I don't see a lot of people who would have lost in a different way, like in those fights at that time, with the experience that he had at the time and who he was fighting, with the style that he is. Do you know what I mean? These are all acceptable things. He has improved and changed since then. I think he's a new level of a fighter. I think that maybe if we were seeing a ready for the test gunning for Barboza, it might be slightly different. Barboza will definitely be quicker. Um, I just think that the MMA gods cut the head off a chicken, and in a big, massive circle of options, it just landed on Lee's gonna do well. I'm gonna go with Lee, and I have him by KO TKO in the 4th round. I don't think it's gonna be like some spinning back kick kind of stuff like Edson Barboza style, but I think he gets him on the ground at some point, and either by trying a submission that he can't quite finish, he just ends up pending him out. But maybe a submission would be a better option. I might go back and change that to submission, and I might change the Willis one to knockout. But even still, those are my picks for today, folks. That is me, and that is it. I appreciate you very much for watching, for listening. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, it would mean so much to me. It'd be so important if you gave it a like. If you like more of this stuff, hit the bell. And if you're like me and you're the kind of person that doesn't pay attention to all the alerts in their phone because they hate that stuff, and doesn't switch a lot of stuff on, but because of that misses out on stuff, you're like, oh man, if I'd have known that video was on, I wouldn't have watched this video after. I would have watched this video first and then that. There's a little bell icon after you click subscribe. Click the bell icon, and whenever I do a video, it'll be uploaded to your channel or to your feed, to your subscription thing. You'll get a little thing next time you go on YouTube, or to your phone if you have alerts for YouTube. But nevertheless, it would be a massive help to keep us growing. And the more people like and comment and share the stuff, the more people will look at it like it's legitimate. The more we can have better discussions. The more I can get more ability to improve and get more feedback to improve everything for you guys and make it better for you and enjoyable for you. Because that's why I do this. Yes, I do it because I enjoy it. But I also can only improve myself. I don't like not being able to improve. And by other people joining and watching and being a part of it, I can learn how to improve. I can learn where I'm already good, and I can polish where I'm good, and I can learn my holds and improve on that as well. And we can all grow together for a better channel. And in the hopes of the future, I would like to have a hub under Aztec Emerald, not necessarily in this house, but have other people like myself who have passion and who want to disseminate that information to other people and create the best content that they are capable of creating with the tools and experience that they have on their channel, and then have it all under one banner. There's a few of those things in America. There's a few of them in England. There's not really an Irish one that's not owned already by a massive corporation that owns a load of other TV networks and crap. And maybe, not maybe, but that is my goal. That is the future. So the more we join and go on this journey together, the better we have a chance of getting there, the faster we can get there. And when we get there, not that there is a there, but the overall experience itself will be of a much grandier scenario at a better scale, producing just way better stuff. And plus, the more accreditation I get, the more I can get better scoops, better information, and better access to give you folks better information, better scoops, and better access. So, until next time, I have been Don the Mexican. This has been The Rundown, and I run, manage, and am empowered by you guys and the company that I created, Aztec Emerald. Irish, Mexican, Irish, Mexican, Irish, Mexican. I went through a lot of different names before I came up with that one, but most people enjoyed that, and it has a nice ring to it. Anyway, I'm going to get better at signing off. I've been Don the Mexican. This has been The Rundown. Peace.